Here's a question that should haunt every Blue Jays fan who watched Game 7 of the World Series. What do you do when your closer blows the biggest lead in franchise history on the sport's biggest stage, and management's response is nothing? Because, folks, Jeff Hoffman is still Toronto's closer. The same Jeff Hoffman who watched that fateful pitch sail over the fence in the ninth inning, turning what should have been a championship celebration into a nightmare that Blue Jays fans will relive for decades. And while Hoffman had stretches of brilliance last season, while he was mostly solid in the postseason outside of that one catastrophic moment, the uncomfortable truth is this: championship teams don't leave their closer situation to chance. Which is why Sports Illustrated's Toby Schulman is urging Toronto to make a move that could change everything, signing Kirby Yates, the two-time All-Star closer, who's currently a free agent after an injury-plagued season with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Let's address the elephant in the room first, because this conversation can't move forward without confronting the Jeff Hoffman situation head-on. Hoffman wasn't terrible last season. In fact, for long stretches he was quite good. He had moments where he looked unhittable, where his stuff was electric, where he seemed like exactly the kind of closer a championship team needs. But baseball, especially at the closer position, isn't about long stretches of good performance. It's about executing in the moments that matter most. And in the moment that mattered more than any other in Blue Jays history, Hoffman failed. Spectacularly, devastatingly, unforgettably. Now, does one pitch define a career? Of course not. Does one blown save erase all the successful ones? Absolutely not. But here's the reality that Toronto's front office needs to confront. Trust, once broken at the closer position, is incredibly difficult to rebuild. Every time Hoffman enters a game in a save situation next season, every single fan in Rogers Center will be thinking about that World Series moment. Every batter will smell blood in the water. That's not fair to Hoffman, but fairness doesn't matter in professional sports. Results matter. Execution matters. And right now, the Blue Jays need insurance. This is where Kirby Yates enters the picture. And folks, this is where the story gets fascinating. Yates is 37 years old. He's coming off an injury-plagued season with the Dodgers, where he dealt with back and hamstring issues. He didn't pitch in October. By conventional wisdom, he should be damaged goods, a risky signing that could blow up in Toronto's face. But here's what conventional wisdom misses. Kirby Yates, when healthy, is one of the most effective closers in baseball. And the data backs that up in ways that should have every team in need of bullpen help paying attention. In 2024 with the Texas Rangers, Yates posted a 1.17 ERA across 61 games and recorded 33 saves. That's not just good, that's elite. That's the kind of performance that wins Reliever of the Year awards and makes All-Star teams. Which, by the way, Yates did. He was an All-Star that season, his second career selection. Even last year with the Dodgers, before the injuries derailed his season, Yates was excellent. In his first 21 outings, he posted a 2.95 ERA. That's not the work of a washed-up veteran hanging on for one last paycheck. That's the work of a pitcher who still has elite stuff and knows how to get outs. Now, some of you might be wondering, if Yates was so good, why didn't the Dodgers use him in October? Why is he a free agent? What aren't we being told? The answer is actually pretty straightforward, and it has nothing to do with Yates' ability. The Dodgers signed Tanner Scott in the offseason, a massive commitment to a younger closer with elite stuff. Once Scott was in the fold, Yates became redundant. Los Angeles didn't need two closers, and when Yates dealt with injuries, it gave them the perfect opportunity to shut him down and preserve their younger investment. This is actually great news for teams pursuing Yates. He's not available because he's washed up or because the Dodgers lost faith in him. He's available because of roster construction and organizational priorities. That's the kind of situation smart teams exploit. Here's where this gets really interesting from Toronto's perspective. Kirby Yates is going to be cheap. Not cheap for a closer. Actually cheap, period. Think about it. He's 37 years old. He missed significant time last season with injuries. He didn't pitch in the postseason. Every one of those factors drives his market value down. Teams will be scared off by the age, concerned about the injury history, worried about investing in a player who might not have anything left in the tank. But Toronto shouldn't be one of those teams, because unlike franchises shopping for a long-term closer solution, the Blue Jays just need someone who can bridge them through the next year or two while they figure out their long-term bullpen construction. They need someone who can compete with Hoffman for the closer role, who can provide insurance if Hoffman struggles, who can be a high-leverage weapon even if he's not getting save opportunities. Yates checks every single one of those boxes, and he'll do it on a contract that won't break the bank or create long-term financial complications. Let's dig deeper into Yates' resume, because the numbers are genuinely impressive. He's been an all-star twice in his career, and both times came when he was in the closer's role for a full season. That's not a coincidence. Yates thrives with the pressure and responsibility that comes with closing games. In 2019, he led the entire league in saves. Think about that for a second. In a league full of elite closers, Kirby Yates was the best. He wasn't just good, he was the standard by which every other closer was measured. Now, has he declined since then? Sure, marginally. That's what happens with age and the natural wear and tear of pitching at the highest level. But the core skills that made him elite, the command, the pitch mix, the mental toughness, those don't just disappear overnight. What Yates needs is the right opportunity, the right situation, the right team that believes in what he can still do. And Toronto, with their closer uncertainty and their championship aspirations, represents exactly that opportunity. Here's a scenario that should excite Blue Jays fans. Imagine a spring training where Jeff Hoffman and Kirby Yates are competing for the closer role. Not a token competition where the outcome is predetermined, but a genuine battle where both pitchers know they have to earn the job. That competition would push Hoffman to be better. It would force him to prove that Game 7 was an aberration, not a sign of things to come. It would give him the motivation to work harder, refine his approach, and show that he deserves the trust that was shattered in that World Series moment. And if Hoffman wins the job, great. Toronto has a motivated closer who's proven himself and a high-quality setup man in Yates who can step in if needed. If Yates wins the job, even better. Toronto has upgraded the position with a proven all-star and has a talented arm in Hoffman who can contribute in high-leverage situations. Either way, the Blue Jays win. Either way, they're better positioned to compete for a championship. But let's be honest about what this move really represents: insurance. Because while Hoffman had stretches of strong play last season, he was also inconsistent. He had games where his command deserted him, where hitters teed off on his pitches, where he looked more like a middle reliever than a closer. Championship teams don't leave their bullpen to chance. They don't hope their closer figures it out. They have contingency plans, backup options, insurance policies that protect them when things go wrong. Kirby Yates would be that insurance policy for Toronto. He'd be the safety net that catches them if Hoffman falters. He'd be the experienced veteran who's been in pressure situations and knows how to execute when the game is on the line. And in a division as competitive as the AL East, where every game matters and every blown save could be the difference between making the playoffs and watching from home, that insurance is invaluable. So here we are, folks. The Blue Jays have a closer situation that needs addressing. Kirby Yates needs a team that believes in him and will give him a chance to prove he's still elite. The financial fit is perfect. The competitive fit is perfect. The timing is perfect. Will it happen? That depends on whether Toronto's front office recognizes the opportunity in front of them. That depends on whether they're willing to make the smart, unsexy move that doesn't generate headlines, but makes their team significantly better. But from where I'm sitting, analyzing the rosters, examining the needs, considering the market dynamics, this feels like one of those no-brainer signings that teams look back on and wonder why it took so long to pull the trigger. If this analysis resonates with you, if you're convinced that Yates is the missing piece Toronto's bullpen needs, show me you're paying attention. Drop a like. Tell me in the comments whether you trust Hoffman or think the Blue Jays need to make this move. And subscribe because we're tracking every development as Toronto builds toward another championship run.